Rainbow Six Siege came onto the FPS scene back in late 2015, and since then it's captured a rather big audience. It's a tactical, tense multiplayer setting, pitting 5 attackers against 5 defenders, with a heavy emphasis on the operators that you choose. Now, different operators offer different abilities, and depending on the situation and the knowledge of the map that you possess, you can give yourself a big advantage over the other team. Very recently, however, a brand new tactical first-person shooter has made its first appearance. This game is called Ready or Not, and it's developed by Void Interactive. And if you were to base your opinion off of watching the first trailer and then looking at Rainbow Six Siege, you might come to the conclusion that these two games would be very similar. But when you dive a little bit deeper, you'd be wrong. According to the team making this new game, there are several features of it that will set it apart from any current shooter out there, offering more tools to the player when it comes to damage, movement, and map manipulation. The trailer itself doesn't really have any gameplay at all in it, it's all in-engine stuff, so you really want to take this with a pinch of salt. We know how much trailers can actually differ from the gameplay experience that games offer these days, so please do make sure you take this with a pinch of salt. But what the trailer does show is this gritty, raw setting. According to the developers, they're trying to depict an America that's divided by class. The situation has degraded so much that the country has descended into anarchy, with law enforcement needing to act with brutal force. That does sound quite interesting. The game's been in development since June 2016, so a little under a year, and it's built on Unreal Engine 4, so it's definitely got the potential to look very good. The trailer does show some graphic shots of targets being taken down, with blood and gore effects on display. Void Interactive are looking to move the tactical element away from a more curated environment like we see in Rainbow Six Siege and put it into what could be a real-life scenario, where your actions really do have consequences. So to give you an idea of what the developers of Ready or Not are doing to this game to give it its own unique feeling, they've listed down quite a few features that are already implemented in the game since development started. We're going to go through these and sort of explain how they're going to offer something different to what's already out there. First up, they've built an incremental lean system on top of a basic lean function as well. So players will be able to move around obstacles in different ways. They can duck down behind low cover manually, or they can peek over high cover and have a look at enemies who might not be expecting them to make that move. Now, I think we need to see this in action because each lean function will be assigned their own key. So it sounds like it could be a little bit of a challenge to remember all of the keys you need to press to gain a different view around solid objects. But the fact that they've already built it means that they're serious about wanting people to use it. That basic function will likely just be on Q&E where you can lean around the side of objects, but everything else will have its own key, so crouching might be very different in this game as what it is right now in other first-person shooters. They're going to be giving full speed control to the player via the mouse scroll wheel, so scrolling the wheel up and down will allow you to pick the speed that you want your character in the game to move at. And I think it's on a scale, so we can expect to see full sprint all the way down to tiny little footsteps that I guess would be barely audible to an enemy player. Now, the function can be rebound to other keys if you want to, but this goes hand in hand with a different feature. If you're shot in the legs in this game, your speed will be restricted depending on how much damage you take. And if you're shot in the arms, your aim will be thrown off. So you lose some of that control, but as long as the shot wasn't lethal, you'll still be able to continue at a good speed. I haven't played a game for a while that gives you full control over your character speed, especially on the mouse wheel. I'm used to using that for scrolling through weapons like you can in Battlefield, so that will be something new for us to try out. That gore that I mentioned about that's visible in the trailer, yeah, that's actually going to be a feature of gameplay. According to the developers, they want the death of a character in the game to be impactful on the player. And that means you can expect some gore features that at the moment most other games don't seem to want to touch. Parallax bullet holes will seep out blood onto players' clothes, and they'll even emit blood in spurts, depending on the damage done. These spurts will then splatter over walls if you lean your character up against them, and that will leave traces of where an injured player has been. Sounds really nasty, but it actually sounds incredibly cool, and if they're able to pull it off, that would be something incredible to see in a first-person shooter. And in future development, the team want to implement a full body destruction system as well. So you can definitely expect to see limbs hanging off when you're playing this game. As with any first-person shooter nowadays, the development team are going out of their way to make sure people are happy, with plenty of weapons, gadgets, and grenades available from the outset, and there will even be non-lethal items that you can pick up and play with in the game as well. Currently, in the pre-alpha version, there are 30 different items for players to pick from, and each of these items will be balanced to offer pros and cons over other choices. But the plan is to never have 2 items that do exactly the same thing. So every time you pick a gadget or a weapon or a grenade, there will be a trade-off against something else that you can pick. And that way you get a really good balance feature, and every single person on your team will be valuable when you start that round. And before each round starts, or each mission as it's being called, there will be a proper tactical analysis phase where teams can plan their attack or their defense by shutting things down like power grids. They can blockade entrances, create new vantage points, or even spawn in unique items that could help you win. Things like ballistic shields, battering rams, and telescopic ladders so that you can get up on the top of buildings. The game will feature a full armor system as well, and it's calculated based on the mesh coverage on your player, and that will allow for accurate levels of realistic ballistic protection. That's exactly what it says on the developer's website. This basically means if you're only wearing armor on your torso, for example, that your legs, arms, and head can still take full damage from any incoming fire. Your torso, though, will remain protected, but the armor will degrade if you continue to get shot in it. And if it's like normal armor in normal life, then, you know, it's only going to take a few rounds before it gets penetrated. And lastly, the developers have highlighted their attention to detail. They're creating animation sets for your teammates' characters that will simulate grenades and ammo being taken out of pouches on their bodies, and then placed back in again if they don't use them. So you'll know what another player is doing just by looking at them, and not needing to rely on an on-screen HUD or a voiceover to do that work for you. There will be bullet penetration, ricochets, deterioration, velocity, and even bullet drag and drop. So you can expect a full set of projectile dynamics to be on offer. Now, considering that most of these features seem to require the use of an extensive set of buttons, I'm going to go out of my way and say that this game is being pitched towards the PC market. Now, Void Interactive haven't offered any official information of what they're going to be doing with the game in terms of platforms yet, but consoles are somewhat restricted due to the lack of buttons on their controllers. PC doesn't have that issue. We'll need to wait for an official announcement of some sort, but right now this game looks to be set to be a PC title by the looks of things. My own opinion about this so far, it does look very, very interesting. I will repeat what I said at the start of the video though. This game is in very early development. It hasn't even been in development for a year yet. Don't forget, June 2016 was when this game started to be developed, and we're currently in May 2017. So only 11 months ago, this game was conceptualized and was started work on. So we should remain skeptical of all of these features until we see some proper, tasty gameplay of Ready or Not. But the game does sound like it'll offer a difference enough to get people interested. It focuses on the hyper details like realistic bullet damage, armor, and pre-round planning, and that does sound very, very interesting. I'll be keeping tabs on the game for sure as this thing moves forward during development, and if any more updates come out about the game, maybe even some gameplay in the future, then I'll be sure to let you guys know. Let me know what you think right now down in the comments section. Let's get some opinions flowing. I'll be down there reading as many as I can. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.